Don't be sleeping on the Baltimore Orioles. What's up, everybody, and welcome into Bad for Baseball, the baddest baseball podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Blaylock, joined alongside by Adam Peddle. In this one, we're going to be talking about those Baltimore Orioles. I don't think that enough media coverage has been circulating about them, considering the offseason that they had, the lineup that they still got going on, and where they are walking in to the 2026 season. Let's immediately flash over to that roster, and specifically looking at some of those additions. Pete Alonso in, Taylor Ward in to that lineup that was already relatively good.
Yeah, look, they had a down year last year, and I think as a young core, you should expect some sort of bumps along the road. It just so happened that a lot of these guys all had some bumpy roads this season, all down years. Gunnar Henderson, after a great year in 2024, only had a 787 OPS. Westberg a little bit down. Jackson Holliday still waiting for the breakout from that kid right there. But as you can see, everybody is down. Now, the new additions of Pete Alonso and Taylor Ward, my goodness, that is going to be incredible. Pete Alonso, we know how great he is. Home run hitter, 871 OPS. He is going to be just great driving in those young guys at the top of the lineup. But then you also got Taylor Ward, a sneaky trade for trading away their guy. Oh my gosh, what was Grayson Rodriguez? Thank you. So many injuries. Haven't seen this guy in the field. Forgot about him. But at the time of the trade, I remember we were kind of reacting like, what are they doing? They need some pitching staff. They need any pitcher they can get. That's kind of a bad move by them. But if you're just looking at the lineup with the addition of Pete Alonso, you got a guy who also hit 36 homers last year. That lineup is going to be gross. If you can get some bounce backs from some other guys.
This lineup, in my opinion, is one of the better ones in all of baseball. What I really like about the additions of Pete Alonso and Taylor Ward is that they're going to take some of the pressure off some of these younger kids, okay? Because you got Holliday, who's super young, Westberg, who's still really young himself, Gunnar Henderson, all of them are young. Literally all of them are young. Who are the guys who are over 30 and who've been there and who've done it before? It's Pete Alonso and it's Taylor Ward. So theoretically, that should take some of the pressure off a little bit. A guy like Gunnar Henderson, it's like, hey man, like, it's okay. You don't have to be the next coming of baseball Jesus for us all the time, because we are going to have some other contributors. So I like this lineup a ton. For me, this could easily be a top 5 lineup in all of baseball if things go their way. The one area where I am a little bit concerned, however, I do think they're going to be able to play their way through it, is this pitching staff. Trevor Rogers there, he had an incredible year last year. However, smaller sample size, 109.2 innings, so not a full season to his name. And then after that, you have some guys that could be somebody's. Obviously not the same caliber, though, I think, as the lineup. Yeah,
and that's where the whole Grayson Rodriguez trade was a question mark. Because, you got Kyle Bradish, but, I mean, the injuries that Bradish has been going through every single year, it's like you don't know what you're going to get. Now, I know he threw 6 games last year, and he had a 2.53 ERA, but like that's a small sample size again. Like, what's he going to do after a full 32? And can you even get 32 starts out of him? I like the trade with Shane Baz. Down year for the guy. He's had some upside in the past. Can they tap into that this year? We'll have to see. Kind of reminds me a lot of that Eflin trade. Speaking of which, there he is at the 5th spot. He's just a filler, but he hasn't really been that guy since coming over to Baltimore, really, that he was back in Tampa Bay, a serviceable guy in their rotation. And then Kramer. And then after that, I'm not too familiar with their depth, so that's where they need to go and address some with some offseason moves. Now, there's still Framber Valdez out there. People were kind of flirting with the idea, well, this would be a great final move for the Orioles to make if they do that.
That'd be incredible for them.
That would change the absolute complexity of this rotation, because at least you could have a guy you could anchor down that rotation with, and then have Rogers still be the good number 2. Bradish, what can you get? Baz, et cetera, et cetera. So if they could solve that pitching staff, then I think that a shot at the division, if not the wild card at least, is well within their range.
One thing I will say that's definitely going to help out their rotation is the fact that they added in 2 back-end bullpen arms, and that is really nice for them, right? Like, just having those guys, that's going to allow you to distribute the rest of your bullpen a little bit more liberally with it. So let's just say, for instance, that one of your starters doesn't have it today. Well, in the 4th inning, we can go to our pen, and we don't need to feel as bad because we have a deeper pen these days, and it should theoretically be able to hold up longer than it was in years prior. I'm obviously talking about Andrew Kittredge and Ryan Helsley both coming in over there, and I know that they didn't have their best years ever, but both of them have proven that we can play at a very high level at MLB, and I do anticipate that those guys are going to be better. So I look at this team right now, And I do think that they have certainly improved. I know that trading away Grayson Rodriguez was like definitely a big thing, but they have gotten better. And with some of those bounce backs, or with some of those, potentially, step forwards from some of the younger guys, this is going to be a really scary squad. When you look over at the WAR change since the beginning of free agency, they are ranked 5th in all of baseball. They have added plus 3.6 WAR. This is very conservative, by the way, with the WAR that's being projected here. It's all Fangraphs WAR and everything, but plus 3.6 is the 5th best in all of baseball. And again, that's not factoring in, can we get a better Adley Rutschman? Can we get a better Jackson Holiday? Can we get a better Gunnar Henderson? I think yes. I think this team's going to be better in 2026.
Yeah, like they're due for those bounce backs, and I do think that lineup is a lot stronger. It all depends on the pitching staff, like we're saying, but if you are a believer in the Baltimore Orioles, the lines have come out here on FanDuel. If you do believe the Baltimore Orioles can get over 85 wins, then you should probably take the over right there. It's obviously they're very even. It's negative 115, so it's a little bit favoring the over. Where are you at right now? It is a very interesting AL East this year. Obviously, the Blue Jays, they went to the World Series, they're American League champions, and they're still going to be pretty damn good this year. Yankees not really doing a hell of a lot, like at all, and they're not even really budging on Bellinger. We're still waiting for news on that. Red Sox, yeah, they added to that rotation, but you could argue they downgraded offensively. They need some breakouts, and then you got Tampa Bay Rays just kind of doing nothing. Is this the time for the Orioles to step up and maybe make a shot at the division?
It's really difficult because there are, I think, a lot of good teams in this division, but you have to imagine somebody's gonna take the brunt of it, right? Now, I do think that Tampa Bay is going to get beat up on quite a bit this year.
Yeah.
This is like the biggest disparity, I would say, in talent between Tampa Bay and some of the other squads there. So they're going to get stomped on a lot this season. But is there going to be another team that gets stomped on in the American League East?
I don't know. Not stomped
I don't know.
on.
Yeah,
it'll be competitive, but yeah, there's no clear juggernaut. Maybe you could say the Blue Jays, but there's no clear juggernaut.
I do think that those 4 teams, they're all good. And I'll be honest, I like Baltimore to probably get 86 or more wins.
Yeah.
I just think that lineup, like we saw last year, and I will actually use, we're Toronto Blue Jays fans at heart, and I'll use them as an example. Their pitching staff and their bullpen were not good for the entirety of the season. They were both below average, but they had a top 5 offense in effectively all of the key categories and still won 94 games and won the division.
Yeah.
And I think I see a lot of similarities here with this Baltimore team. Their offense last year thoroughly underperformed.
Yeah. Blue Jays did the same thing in 2024.
Exactly.
Right?
I think that you're going to see something similar with this Orioles team where the offense takes a dramatic step up, top 10 in all of the key categories. And if that pitching staff can just be slightly better than what it was last year, now you're looking at maybe a high 80s to a 90-win team. And I think that that's well within the range of outcomes. So I think I would take the over.
And I would take the over too. And I do believe this Orioles management, the front office I'm talking about, has realized the potential they've got here. They had a disappointing season, and their whole thing before that was they didn't spend money at all. Well, what do they go do? They go and they get Pete Alonso. That's a pretty damn big spending right there. So with that intention in mind, I believe they're going to continue to look for ways to improve upon that pitching staff if they need to. If they're competing, I believe, if they're willing to splash money, why not go and make trades? It's like you're investing in your team. Why not keep investing? I know not every team follows through with their investments, aka the Boston Red Sox for a long time now, but I do believe the Orioles saw what happened last year. They had momentum. All of it left. People weren't showing up to the games. Now you got to bring people back with a big move like Pete Alonso, and you want to bring them back even more when you go back to the World Series or a deep postseason run. That would be huge for them. So over 85.5 wins for me.
That is where we're at, folks. But you guys let us know your thoughts about all this in the comments down below. Do you like the Baltimore Orioles for this upcoming season, or do you think they should actually be getting slept on? Please make sure to hit that like, smash that subscribe button. We will catch you next time.
Cheers.